Yeah. Look out your window. Knicks fans is on your block. Y'all know the Knicks run the city. Pull them shades back. Look out your window. Look down there on the block. That's Knicks fans right there. It's about that time. It's about that time of the week where you get ready for your work week with the man that is so smooth he does not require a chaser. Your main man, the real, still the real Anthony D. And your main man, Jersey's finest, the hood representative, Uncle Freezie. Yo, party people in the place to be. What's good? It's your number one chief rockin' Knicks universe, your main man, Uncle Freezie. And I am joined by the man that is so smooth that he does not require a chaser. Anthony D is in the building.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Salute to Knicks Nation. Salute to the chat. How we doing, Uncle Freezie? I see you. Smooth. I see you smooth again. This one.
Just like a silka.
Good morning.
Man. So salute to everybody watching us from our home, the New York tri-state area. Shout out to everybody, Jersey City. Shout out to everybody nationwide. Want to also welcome and shout out everybody, our new international audience. Want to make sure that, man, I always shout y'all out, man. So from wherever you are, whether it's New York or the Philippines, anywhere in between.
Ukraine.
Yeah, man. Ukraine. Hey, shout them out.
Asia.
Boxing capital of the world. Ukraine.
No.
Right?
The Caribbean. All of you. Absolutely. We welcome the new audience, the old school flavor.
Yeah, man. Shout out.
Like only how Uncle Freezie can do it, because I follow your lead, sir.
Shout out to all our people watching, man. It's a pleasure having y'all here. So absolutely. I have something to ask everybody. Listen, y'all know what I'm about to ask Anthony D, right? Y'all already know what I'm about to ask Anthony D. Y'all be patient. Let the little Annie play, right? Just real quick. So, Anthony D, what's on your mind?
Yo, Freezie, that joint is so fire. I'm telling you right now, you're gonna have to send me that, sir.
Yeah, actually, hey, guess what the name of the joint is?
What?
Ice and Fire.
Ice and it works.
It works, right? So what's on your mind, sir?
Well, I'm gonna stay where I've been, and I'm gonna salute to Carmelo Anthony. We've been talking about Melo for the last 2 weeks in our 20 greatest Knicks segment. And it feels like we kind of drummed up the Hall of Fame announcement. We kind of prepared the people that this was coming just in our mere appreciation for one of the greatest scorers this game has ever seen. And I don't even want to belittle him by just saying a scorer. One of the greatest forwards, one of the greatest players this game has ever seen has been, inducted, or it was announced that he will be inducted into the Hall of Fame on his first, time out and so forth. So from me, and I know from you, Freezie, And I want to speak to, all of the Carmelo Anthony fans out there, the good and the bad, because there is good and bad. There's no individual that's perfect. There's no sports individual that's perfect, and so forth. But I appreciated his time here in the New York Knicks uniform. Once a Knick, always a Knick. I believe in that, even for those. I'm not even going to touch that this morning. But, it's an honor, to see that man be, get the call that he's going in. Because I remember a few years back when Bernard, because his game without the three reminded me a lot of Bernard's game, right? When BK was going to, was in that quagmire, because he's not a first, he's not a second, he's not a third, he's a whatever he got. When Carmelo got here, Carmelo was leading the charge to have BK in the Hall of Fame. Carmelo had been here only a minute. Right? But with his New York roots, which people really don't talk about. It's all West Baltimore. Oh, he was born here when he left when he was 6 and da-da-da-da. But if you ever heard the God talk, and when he would come back, and he never really kind of left, because he has people, I think, is in Bushwick and people in East Flatbush. And, he kind of always, where did he go to school? What school in New York? Syracuse, New York.
Yeah, he orange and blue, bro.
Led them to his one and done, leading them in his greatness. When we talk about the totality of his career and his game, Freezie,
right?
We somehow we forget the big orange moments up in the Carrier Dome as we are coming on to the championship game. Very few players that has gone on to the NBA has been able to carry their big moment, right? We've seen a lot of guys get hot in college, Freezie. Remember a lot of Wally Zerbiak, who's now our guy, right? Wally had a nice career. Wally didn't have the kind of career that you would think that, and Wally was a great player. So I'm not, belittling his career. I'm just talking about a lot of guys have had big moments. What's my Michigan's point guard against Seton Hall? I think the Nets drafted him, right? His name is right now. Jamaican kid, right?
Not O'Bannon.
His name is skipping me right now. He was on that team with
What position did he play?
He's point guard, right? Somebody in the chat help me out, right? But it's the mere fact that Melo not.
You talking about Mr. Chips or Mookie Blaylock?
No, he's on Michigan. Ramil Robinson. Yes.
Yeah, Ramil Robinson. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Great. In college. Not so much in the NBA.
Rumial.
Yes. Right? Salute to Ramil. No disrespect. But the point is, Melo lives up to all of that. Comes in and he's not drafted overall number 1.
Could have been, no. In any other year, number 1.
He's not drafted over. I've made this argument with people. I'm like, I'm not talking about their careers as it's going on. I'm talking about just flat out coming into the league. LeBron, Melo. Okay? It was very few high school players that just came in and just went ham.
Right.
We didn't see him on no big stage. We saw him on ESPN. a game against, talented guys, high school, but nonetheless, it wasn't March Madness.
Right.
So when we speak about Carmelo Anthony's career, a lot of times we forget the totality of his career. Did he make it to an NBA Finals? No. Let me just get that out the way. Find 5 better scorers in history, especially at that position. Whether it's at the 3 or the 4. I've heard Paul Pierce talk about him like, he said, I'd rather guard Mike. I'd rather guard LeBron.
Yep.
He said, Melo's all up in here. Melo's giving you, back up.
And with the quickness, see, it's and it's not like what he's mentioning. It's not like you guarding Carmelo when you know that power is coming and it feel like a thud. Man, Melo is hitting you with the quickness. Like he hitting you with them shots and throwing you off balance, and then he getting his shot up. And then before you can even recover, Melo is doing something like this, and you like,
The 3 expanded his game.
Yep.
Before he gets here under D'Antoni, he wasn't a 3-point shooter like that. He wasn't.
No.
He was uber athletic with a deadly pull-up. With a nice turnaround, right? And then he just gets, as he's getting NBA stronger, because there's a difference between college strength and NBA and grown man strength.
Yeah.
Right? He's not taking the blows from an offensive perspective. He's giving it. See Melo on that offensive rebound, when you see he's wearing the rim protector, and there's a lot of a lot of that. Giving out the blows.
Yeah.
He was just, some of the things I've heard about his game, people call him ISO. What's that mean? What does that mean? Who would you rather shooting the ball? Carmelo Anthony or Tyson Chandler?
AD, who's a bigger Melo fan? You or Uncle Freezie?
It's probably, I can't speak for you, Freezie. I just know I just had literally Freezie. There was a year I had delusions of grandeur.
Right.
When the trade happened.
Right.
I was willing to offer up my services to drive those very nice ball players to wherever airport they were going.
It didn't matter if they were going to Denver or Seattle. I would have I would have driven them all night, no sleep.
No sleep. No dose. Popping no dose.
Red Bull and coffee.
to get them up out of here. What?
And no disrespect to them.
None.
But for Melo?
A straight hofer in tap dance terminology. A straight hofer.
Yeah.
No, sir. He was one of my personal favorites. He may be my second favorite Knick of all time.
Right.
And that's hard to say because we don't have a lot of great moments with him, when I think it counts. But for me, at least, I've had enough to know that if built correctly, if surrounded correctly, there's no doubt in my mind. It's no doubt in my mind. The Knicks could have done something that would have lasted for all times. Right. But when you invest, Freezie, in a player that's 26 years old, that's entering his prime years.
Mind you, he was great for 7 years or 6.5 years. before he got here.
Yeah.
But that was not his peak.
No, we get him entering his peak.
Right.
And you don't know what to do with it.
Right.
I've made this argument like all the time. Forget the pieces that you gave up.
Right.
Okay? Because trajectory-wise, they were not at the same level. Right. Outside of Wilson Chandler. Could you have put Wilson Chandler with Carmelo Anthony, Wilson at the 3, Carmelo at the 4? Absolutely.
Right.
Okay? But outside of that, what were you crying about?
Right.
When you get that kind of, it's like in a lesser way, the Lakers get Doncic. You think the Lakers are going to waste his 25, 26, 27, 28, 29? Bet the house on it, they're not.
Right.
And that's what happened to the Knicks at that time. They get him, okay, and with less than a year, the fan base is turning on him.
Yeah.
Okay? And yeah, I spoke about it before, but let me just reiterate. The fan base in less than a year was turning on Carmelo Anthony. For a man with no track record, right, but 7 games.
Right.
To my international audience, you know who I speak of. Okay? How do you turn your back on who's going to be an all-time great player for somebody that's a lightning rod?
Right.
It's like, who you with?
Right.
And then Melo, even at that, if you had heard rumors that Melo was saying he wanted to get up out of here, could you blame him?
Right.
Could you blame him? The moment he got an injury, which I think he was out for like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, maybe something like that. It was like they were packing his bags. All of a sudden, you starting to hear things like, well, when Melo come back, Melo, doesn't this sound quite familiar in recent times? Oh, when Melo come back, he's going to have to conform his game. Who did that sound like now? Coming off an injury. Oh, when he come back, you was nice, but, these other guys all of a sudden we think, they were much better without you. That Jeremy Lin lob to Tyson Chandler was something to see. That Amari Stoudemire in the 3-piece suit after 3/4 of the season on the sideline, that was something to see. This is the nonsense that Carmelo Anthony in a real year one has to deal with as he drags this team to the playoffs. So salute to one of my favorite ball players in the Knick uniform. Someone who chose to come here. The championship wasn't delivered, but it wasn't because of lack of effort.
Okay. So I'm not even gonna front, bro. When it come to Melo, like there are certain Knicks that have a certain place in my heart. Like finding, like becoming one of my favorite Knicks is an impossible task, and I'm not even gonna front. Like people still get on me about how I feel about Bernard King, right? Like I like Bernard King, but he not like one of my top 5 Knicks, right? I like Sprewell. He's not one of my top 5 Knicks, right? But when it comes to, there's when it comes to my 4 tops, it's Pat, Clyde, Starks, and Melo. right? Do I love Randall? Man, you know I love Randall, man, but he's not one of the four tops, man. Like he's not one of the four. And shout it. And so, and if you don't know what the four tops are, man, I'm just gonna say Google it so you'll understand. The,
Four times, baby.
you gotta slide to that song. Yeah.
Bernadette! Yo, they got a record named Bernadette. Good Lord have mercy. I don't know if they liked her or they hated her, but it was sung with such passion.
That thing,
such passion.
That Noonie must have been fire, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Must have been Pocahontas or something. But in terms of Melo, my thing with Melo has always been when you have a unique skill, you know it's productive and you believe in it, don't change it, right? And Melo never changed who he was because what he was great. Because what happens is critics will criticize you just for the sake of seeing if you could waver. And if you don't waver, they'll keep criticizing you as if you are the problem, right? And the one thing I liked about Melo over the years is he didn't pander or not panda, but pander to whatever the next energetic gimmick was, right? You didn't see all of a sudden Melo pandering to, oh, I have to be an athletic wing dunking on a crowd every night. Nah, Melo was going jab, step, pump fake, jab, step, pump fake, and hit a mid, right? When the three-pointer came, they were like, yo, Melo, you got to change your game, man. You know, you got to take these back then. You got to take 5 threes a game, Melo. Melo, 5 threes a game? In a game? Melo, jab, step, pump fake, rip through, jab, step under, off glass, right? You're like, Melo, no, you got to play the 4. You got to be stretch 4, man. You got to back to the basket, dribble, rock, pivot, up fake. Melo was like, nope, jab, step, pump fake, rip through, money, right? And it bothered people because all the offenses and what people wanted to see changed. But why would you change if you're 26 points a game, 50% from the floor, 36%, 37% from 3, and 80-something percent from the free throw line? If you're efficient, why would you change? And that's one of the things that endears me to Carmelo Anthony. And even as you hear him speak now, right? And when you hear teammates of Melo speak now, right? These guys are like, man, all those impossible shots you saw Melo taking, Melo be in the gym 4 hours working on the same shot. You could leave, go eat lunch, come back, and Melo is working on the same shot, adding tools to his repertoire. So when you see Melo take that shot in the game and maybe he'll miss, people will be like, why did Melo take that shot? Melo was in the gym practicing that shot every day for 4 hours for this specific situation. What NBA player, right? And this is what NBA player legitimately worked on his own game, right? Worked on his own game and then got a skills trainer. And the skills trainer is trying to tell him, he's like, no, I need to make my move more efficient. Teach me how to make my move more efficient. Not teach me the standard skill set that everybody else has so my bag will look like theirs. Melo was like, yo, take my bag and make it better, right? And so you get this thing of people feel like, well, Melo is an ISO guy. But here's the thing, AD, here's the thing. People think the triangle made Michael Jordan better, right? The triangle made his teammates better. Mike came into the league, could average 38 points a game on his own. Melo came into the league. Melo could average 28 points a league on his own. Melo was not an ISO guy. Melo was an offensive system unto himself. And when others don't have an offensive system unto themselves, they have to be complementary, right? It's just part of what it is.
Yeah, but and I don't disagree with you in that point. But here's the best of Melo in my eyes when he trusted the point guard.
Right.
When he trusted the point guard, because Melo had point guard skills as well. Right.
Yeah.
Melo could pass. Handle was okay. Take a look at him. Take a look at his step back, his go forward with his handle. But to what I'm saying is his highest scoring year, Jason Kidd. The year he gets to the conference finals, Chauncey Billups. The early years when he was coming into his own and so forth, Andre Miller.
Right.
When he had that point guard, because I remember a game in particular in that 54 win season against San Antonio. And it was one of Raymond Felton's best games, in-season games. I mean, he was cooking San Antonio, but I remember after the game, because Melo didn't particularly have a great game, but after the game, they had interviewed Jason Kidd, and he was like, oh yeah, we knew that Melo wasn't going to have a great game because they were going to work to take him out of the game.
Right.
And Melo allowed the game plan for him to kind of be a dummy, a decoy, right? And Raymond Felton and the other cats, but Raymond in particularly went absolute ham in that game. And I was like, see, this is where sometimes when people don't understand the nuances of a game and strategy. But he allowed,
excuse
me. We don't have to talk about the respect that Jason Kidd had throughout his career in the game. So Jason Kidd tell you something, you ready to listen.
Right.
Raymond Felton was not a scoring point guard. Raymond Felton could just score at times.
Yeah.
And in that game, he gave it to them because Melo allowed for that to happen.
Right.
So when to the Knicks point, look at when they match a Jason Kidd with Carmelo Anthony. Jason Kidd is 39 years old.
And he's washed too, by the way.
he had a nice first half. You can see his impact on the team, on a veteran team, but he wasn't Jason Kidd anymore.
Bro, that dude was he couldn't even run. Remember, he could barely get the ball across half. Remember, they had to play 2 point guards together. Remember, Kidd.
They were playing 3.
Yeah,
they were playing 3 point guards up until, and I hate to do this on a Carmelo Anthony moment, but Lord, I can't. The truth is just the truth. The Knicks in that 54 win season had won, I think, their last 14 straight games. Right? Then they win 3 straight against Boston. So they were on a 17-game winning streak.
Yep.
We know what happens in Boston and they come back and, people forget this as well. When they blow a 26-point lead in the fourth quarter.
On ABC.
Right? When Raymond Felton could not bring up the ball.
Yep.
And Raymond Felton was absolutely shook, could not bring up the ball.
Shout out to Ray. That's my guy. That's my friend. So
I love Ray. Right? But in that moment, Carmelo Anthony has to then go into the backcourt, bring the ball up, set the play up, then take the shot, then hit the shot. His last
minute,
his last minute to 2 minutes and a half in that fourth quarter. Oh my God. When we talk about Carmelo Anthony, we forget those moments. when that dude could just do it by himself if need be.
Right.
Shout out to that Carmelo Anthony, man. Does not get enough love and respect, in the annals of this. But I guess
Hey, let me
go ahead.
disagree with you. I'm gonna disagree with you right there, bro. Because I'm gonna say it like this. Carmelo Anthony in his young life was like Prince Charles and Princess Diana in the very beginning, right? So Carmelo on the court, basketball critics would say, "Hey, man, you're not winning enough games. We got to diversify some things." Melo, where's your defense? Remember all these things. Melo, where's your rebounding? You know what I'm saying? All these different things, right? Right? Because the standard was not the classic NBA small forward, right? So, chat, this is what I want to remind you of, and remember this point. Carmelo Anthony's standard was not the average all-star small forward. His immediate comp then and now is LeBron James, right? Notice, people don't compare him to the small forwards that they don't. When you hear Carmelo Anthony's name, they don't compare him to Josh Smith. Guess what? Josh Smith was a starting all-star level small forward of that era, but they don't compare him to Josh Smith, right? They don't compare him to dudes like what's the guy? The guy in the small forward in Milwaukee. I forget his name. They don't compare him to guys like that.
Who, Middleton?
No, Middleton was
when he wasn't.
I'm talking about 2010.
Oh, okay.
I see in 2010, when Melo was here in New York. I'm talking about those early New York years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Melo wasn't being compared to even Kevin Durant at that time. Was not as good as Carmelo Anthony at that time. Now, you can make the argument that Durant is better. It depending on what you like. I mean, I don't care. But I'm talking about at that time, the direct comp to Carmelo Anthony will always be LeBron James, right? And the reason for that is LeBron James is the league can exist for 200 more years and may not ever see another LeBron James, right?
And they came out in the same draft class.
And and a lot of basketball purists felt like in the moment, Carmelo Anthony was a better player, but the future of NBA basketball was LeBron James. And if that's how you felt, that's fine. That's how I felt. I felt on draft night, Melo was the better player, right? But if you're talking about building a franchise for the next, back then we used to think 12 years is how long a guy lasts. But hindsight is 2020, right? Melo is always compared to the greatest dudes to ever play. So when we look at him, we hold him to such a standard that it's impossible to live up to. And the reason why I bring this up, and the reason why it's important to me, every time we speak about LeBron, speak about Melo, we need to think about this, is the fact that it's damn near impossible for one player to win a championship with the Knicks. You know how I know this? Because over the Knicks' lifetime, the Knicks franchise, over the Knicks franchise's lifetime, which is about 80 years or so, about I think they 48, 46, whatever, right? You had multiple great individuals here that put the franchise on their back and they didn't win. Is that a knock on them? No. Right? Because you could start with Brunson, Melo, Pat, Bernard King. You could skip the 70s Knicks and go back to what's the guy we traded? The guy we traded for Dave DeBusschere. the center that we had.
Bellamy, Walt Bellamy.
Walt Bellamy, Richie Guerin. All of these people put the franchise on their back, and none of them could win a championship. So when we talk about Melo, we're like, hey, man, Melo was great, but he didn't win a championship by himself. And I'm like, well, what great Knick did win a championship by himself? It took a Herculean effort from 5 or 6 Hall of Famers on one team in order for them to win a championship. Now, I'm not saying that winning championships is impossible. What I'm saying is you have to have the perfect combination. Yeah, anybody remember that song, Perfect Combination? Chat, anybody in the chat remember this song? Anybody remember Stacey Ladder's song?
A perfect combination.
Yeah, anybody remember Stacey Ladder? Shout out to all the light-skinned people all around the world.
Shout out to my dark skins, because remember, my man is hella black. They had original ebony and ivory, yo. What are you talking about? That was my joy.
Real. And so the reason why I say this about Melo is if you think about the impossible task he was given and weigh it against what he actually provided, there's no way you can say that Carmelo Anthony, what he gave the Knicks, is anything less than perfect. Because even when he first got here, the love affair thing that we could follow in the news with him and Layla, him and Lala, right? Him and Lala, we were like, oh man, this is perfect.
Oh, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, it was like, yo, the star player, he representing the Knicks, right?
You have a future Hall of Famer himself toasting you, telling the world that we're gonna form our own big three.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And somehow, some way, management doesn't get it done.
And for that reason, sir, I am telling Anthony D in front of the world that the Carmelo Anthony era is not a Carmelo Anthony on the court thing why we didn't win a championship. Because you have to have great coaching, great organization, and great players to win a championship. And if one of those three is missing, you're just a second-round team.
You're a second-round team, and you're a team, I hate mentioning these things, but it's a part of the script. Do you remember at one point Dolan had somebody behind the bench listening to the conversations?
Yeah.
Literally. Yep. Live. You could see this. Some idiot dude is behind the bench with some kind of high-powered audio device. They're like, is that Marty McFly?
What are we doing?
What is that?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
Right.
This is Carmelo Anthony here.
Yep. But our thing is with Melo and a bunch of guys over the years. We learned the error of our ways, and now we salute these legends. We invite these legends into the arena, have them get their flowers in real time, right? And so the thing is about that, we give the ovations and such, and it seems like a small thing in the grand scheme of things. When his name is Carmelo Anthony, and everybody like, yeah, Melo.
It feels good when you see him because I think people know that it wasn't his fault.
Right. And the point that I was going to make, just real quick, the point that I was going to make about that is when you get older and those ovations go away and those ovations get more and more sparse, right? It does something to the player. Right, because there were great Knicks players that those ovations start to get more and more sparse, and it does because Willis Reed probably couldn't buy a dinner in the city on his own. Right, anytime Willis Reed pulled his debit card out, somebody slapped it out of his hands. Get that thing out of here, man! I got you. Right, but then as you get older and older and older, and more legends come along, and your ovations get more sparse and sparse. You know what I'm saying? these things. So basically, in I guess in a nutshell, what I'm saying is two things. The fact that Carmelo Anthony made the Hall of Fame, and we are sure that he's representing the Knicks as a Hall of Famer. See, because the thing is, Carmelo Anthony didn't just play for one team.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Carmelo Anthony played for multiple teams, for multiple franchises, right? But the thing is, for him to represent the Knicks means something to you. Because the thing is with Melo representing the Knicks as a Hall of Famer, right? Means that not only is Carmelo Anthony the man is going into the Hall of Fame, but your franchise is entering another person into the Hall of Fame, which means you, the fan, get the experience of seeing a Knick go into the Hall of Fame.
And the Knicks are going to do him right. They're going to have a Carmelo Anthony night sometime next year. I will be in the building.
Will be in the or on.
I will be in the building, God willing. I will be in the building.
If I'm not in there, I'll be on it.
I'll be by it. Yeah, to see my guy, get his just reward, and flowers, and this Freezie. When you have a star player, okay, and you have a star player that's liked by ownership, okay, the franchise is starting to go. Owner says, you know what? You guys say I'm meddling too much. I'm whatever. Okay, I'm gonna bring in a guy who has 13 rings in combination, or how many rings Phil has, right? He's got a whole lot. He brings in Phil Jackson, not to coach, right? I'm sure he would have liked for Phil to coach, but Hopalong Phil at the time is not able to coach the team.
He was past his prime.
Right? But he's hovering all over the team by, you have to play the triangle. Okay? It's not even a matter of discussion. You have to play the triangle. You bring in Fisher. I'm not even going to detail Fisher and his nonsense. Right? Then you bring in Hornacek. You undermine both of these young coaches, and one of them helped to undermine himself. But like I said, I'm not going to go there here today. Right? With Carmelo Anthony still on the roster. Carmelo Anthony took a pay cut in that last contract with the Knicks. He could have went to Chicago, but that would have been a hella pay cut.
Or the Lakers. Remember, Kobe had that man in the lobby of a hotel, and the only difference between the money the Lakers offered and the Lakers and the Knicks was the Knicks could offer that 5th year.
Right.
Okay. Kobe had him. If it wasn't for that 5th year, Melo would have been a Laker.
Okay. Right? So he comes back home.
Yep, comes back home.
And for the second time, you don't have a plan.
Yeah.
You're surrounding him with Larkin.
Bill Walker. Sean Williams. We are here with Sean Williams.
At that time, he's barely 30.
Right, yep.
Right? You get Porzingis, and still, you're surrounding them with the lames. You're surrounding them with a center. No disrespect to
Robin Lopez.
To Robin Lopez and Noah and these guys, but are we serious? Are we serious?
AD, I'm at such a place, bro. I cannot believe. But let me say this though, on the Carmelo Anthony early in his career thing, New York, the city loves storylines, right? And the fact that Melo and Lala had a love affair that played out in public was something that we could track. Like, we could listen to her in the mornings and then watch Melo at night. Now, if you're not from the city, you probably don't understand what that dynamic was like, right? Lala, was a little cutie, little DJ, whatever, radio personality that we kind of like, you know what I'm
Still
saying?
a cutie. Now she's a MILF.
Right, right, right,
Salute to Lala. No
right,
disrespect,
right,
love.
right. No doubt, no doubt. And the thing is with Melo, and at the time we were hearing these stories about how men. Now, I'm not judging anybody, right? But at the time, you're hearing about these NBA stars having like 3 women in each city and all that stuff. And maybe Melo did. I don't know. I'm not judging. That's not the part that I want to get into. The part that I want to get into is how openly he confessed his love for this lady in a public setting in an era where guys are like, yeah, I got a wife, but and the thing is,
I wouldn't have said nothing at all.
yeah, but the thing is, both LeBron and Melo were doing the same thing, like they were on like this same path, and so their lives were playing out in such a way that you could compare them every day to a certain thing. Oh, hey, Miss Savannah just had a baby. Oh man, Lala just had a kid. Okay, so it's like all these things, like the comparison. So it's like when we talk about Melo, right? When we speak about Melo, right? You not comparing Melo to the other standards of his era. Like you're not comparing Melo to Richard Jefferson, right? You're not comparing Melo to whatever small forward of that era. You're comparing Melo then, now, and forever to LeBron. So anytime you criticize LeBron, just keep in mind that your standard is so high that even if it sounds like criticism of Melo, it's of the highest standard, right? It's like saying, hey man, this Escalade is on 20s, man. I wanted 22s. Oh, really? It's an Escalade, huh? Okay. Right? Like it's like champagne, right? It's like champagne. When people like, man, I only drink Ace of Spades. To me, Ace of Spades is nasty. I think it's fancy looking in a fancy bottle, but it's not the Dom from 2013. The recipe they use for the 2013 Dom, right? You criticizing Dom, man, Dom 2013, that's old. No, man, the recipe is old. The bottle is not old. If it's perfect, why would you correct it?
Classic is classic.
Right. This is what I'm saying about Carmelo. Like the standard is set so high, right? It's like when you fly in first class and you're like, man, the lady brought me the towel so I can wash my hands and face. Man, it was kind of lukewarm. It wasn't hot straight out the microwave. And you're like, bro, you're at 38,000 feet with champagne and caviar in front of you, and she bring you a towel that cooled off on the way to your seat. What do you want her to do? Have the warmer at your seat? These are the type criticisms that Melo gets. It sounds ridiculous for me to say it, but it's even more ridiculous for me when I hear people say stuff like Melo should have passed the ball more. Who was he going to pass it to?
The one time the one time, and moments, again, like I've always said, moments matter, right? Look at that first playoff series against Boston. Amari was healthy.
Yep.
Melo was mellow. Chauncey Billups is leading a charge, and it looks like we have enough to beat a Boston team that was kind of sputtering but still good.
Yeah.
Right? Look at the end of that game. Melo from the wing gets doubled, and as he rises, he finds Jared Jeffries under the rim.
Oh my God.
Kevin Garnett takes the ball out of Jared Jeffries' hands. You know, it was like a classic bully moment. I want your crunch cookies. Yeah. Get out the way. So grown ass 6'10", 11-inch man under the rim freezing. Kevin Garnett saves that game. Those are moments that people forget, like as we are criticizing Melo and say, well, Melo, why you didn't take the shot? You should have took the shot.
Right.
Right? So you can't win for losing.
You can't.
Because he makes what I would think, but you see, Carmelo Anthony doesn't have a history with the likes of a Jared Jeffries.
No.
To see that man in NBA history might be the only man that, as he got closer to the rim, the percentages would decrease.
Went down
incredibly.
Like he's precious.
So I can't blame Melo because Melo had no real history with him.
AD, let me just for hey, shout out to the chat. Make sure y'all hit the like button, subscribe to the channel and everything, man. We appreciate y'all for coming through. AD, I want to mention
who in the chat remembers that play.
So just real quick, I want to mention a thing, man. To me is humorous, right? I'm going to mention the small forwards of the great small forwards of that era. I'm going to start from, I think this is number 15, and I'm going to go to 1 really quick, real fast, right?
Okay.
These are your small forwards of the era that we're criticizing Carmelo Anthony. Andre Kirilenko. Corey Maggette was the small forward in Milwaukee that I was mentioning. Grant Hill on one leg. John Salmons. Tayshaun Prince, Caron Butler, Gerald Wallace, Darrell Wright, DeMar DeRozan, Steven Jackson, Paul Pierce, Rudy Gay, Danny Granger, Kobe, and LeBron were listed as small forwards during that era, right? And what I'm going to say to everybody is, on that list, you could probably trade
Odom Odom and Metal World Peace wasn't on that list of small forwards.
I'm talking about scoring. I'm just mentioning scoring. Yeah, I'm just mentioning scoring. But because we were talking about scoring, we weren't talking about Carmelo's all-around game.
Okay.
Right. So on that list, I legitimately wouldn't take 6 or 7 of those guys for Carmelo straight up. Right. I wouldn't take Maggette, Grant Hill, John Salmons, Tayshaun Prince, Caron Butler, and Gerald Wallace for Carmelo of that era straight up. Right? I would not take any of those guys. I wouldn't take them
all together.
Right. The only names on this list worth even talking about, right, are Paul Pierce, but at that time, Paul Pierce was in his 13th season. Right? Rudy Gay was good as a third scorer, but he was often injured.
Never fulfilled.
Yep. Danny Granger was a very good scorer, but he was a 20-point per game scorer. He was not an elite scorer. Now, if you needed for Danny Granger, if you needed 15, he was going to give you 20. If you needed 30, he was going to give you 20. That's Danny Granger, right? That's who Danny Granger is. No disrespect. But when we talk about Melo, we don't often compare Melo to Darrell Wright, right? We always compare Melo to LeBron. So anytime you think about criticizing Melo for anything, remember who you're comparing that man to, right? You're always comparing that man to LeBron, to the GOAT. LeBron is some people, not mine, but LeBron James is some people's GOAT. And if you compare Melo to some people's GOAT, then what does that make Melo?
He's going to always come up short.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect. LeBron has had a better career than Melo.
Right.
That's just facts. You know,
Right.
that's just facts. But it doesn't lessen his greatness. See, two things can be true. LeBron is a better player. Okay.
Okay.
But,
Yeah. LeBron is a better player.
but Melo's a great player in his own right.
Right.
LeBron is on better teams.
Right.
Melo's on teams with management. Melo did not realize when Melo got on that plane to come to New York to get the fanfare and the welcome to New York, and you got people making songs about him.
Stat
Hey
and
come,
Melo. Stat and Melo. Stat and
hey
Melo.
Carmelo, hey Carmelo, hey Carmelo, hey Carmelo. We got songs, and remember that he's
Yep.
coming home.
Yep.
Tell the world he's coming home.
Yep.
Right? You got all of that. Melo does not think that the Knicks are not going to do what they promised when they make the trade for him.
Right.
He can't foresee Phil Jackson coming on board 3 years later and just going another direction.
Right.
See what I'm saying? He's here, and while other teams are getting better around him, you're getting better in the league, you're getting worse. Because after the 54 win campaign, you trade for Bargnani.
I almost vomited just now. I'm sorry, y'all. Pardon me. Pardon me. I had an involuntary human reflex. I'm sorry.
You don't go up to Toronto to get Lowry. You come back with Bargnani.
Hey, do you remember? Hey, did you hear the Kyle Lowry story? Did you hear the Kyle Lowry part?
Give it to us again.
So here's the thing, and this is why I say Leon Rose is the GOAT, right? So Leon Rose is the GOAT, right? Because the deal was official without Bargnani, right? It included Kyle Lowry. So Kyle Lowry says he's in the airport, you know what I'm saying, waiting for his flight to go to New York and meet his new teammates and all that stuff. And a lady walks up to him and is like, hey, we have a telephone call for you at the what's the name in the airport. He's like, for me? She's like, yeah, you're Kyle Lowry, right? He's like, yeah. She was like, yeah, it's for you. For me? Yeah, man, you're Kyle Lowry, right? Toronto Raptors? He's like, yeah, right? Who is it? Sir, we don't know. We don't screen your calls or whatever. You just go answer the phone.
Go pick up the damn phone.
So Kyle Lowry goes to the phone, and a voice on the other end just says, go home and hang up. Right. And so he's like, go home. So he's like, do I get on this flight or do I go home? Who is this? But the phone is dead already, right? So then his cell phone rings, right? The thing he picked up the phone, he's like, hey man, we pulled you out of this deal, man. Just go on home, man. We're gonna send somebody else. Right? He like, but I already started reaching out to these dudes already. He like, nah, man, sorry about that. Blah, blah, blah. As that man is walking through the airport trying to find his car, the snail across the TVs in the airport is saying the Knicks trade for Bargnani. And he could see it in real time as he's going home. Right? And for all these years, we're like, yo, why did the Knicks just take Bargnani over Kyle Lowry? We wanted Kyle Lowry for years. Come to find out, his agent, Leon Rose, takes him out of the trade because he doesn't want his client to go to New York to that mess. And he the Raptors send the Euro dude to them. They take less in return to keep Kyle Lowry, and they send Andrea Bargnani because they just happen to have a young, bouncy, all-world big man that has moved him out of his starting spot at the 5 and is killing everything in sight, right? Years later, we find out that young big man that was murdering everything moving is Chris Bosh. And they're like, we can't trade Kyle Lowry and leave Chris Bosh and Bargnani here together. We'll never win. And so years later, this dude that keeps sticking it to the Knicks winds up taking the Knicks job. And what we learned over the years is James Dolan says to himself, you know what? It takes one to know one. Instead of having him out there doing that to us, how about we bring him here so he could do that to them on our behalf? That's the Kyle Lowry story.
It's a full circle. But it's collateral damage to the Knick fan base. Because like I said, you come off of a 54-win season. Yep. What Knick fan at that time is going to think that the ship be sinking at that moment?
Bro.
You had, another, one of Carmelo's detractors is because Roy Hibbert stops him at the rim. So what? You won 54 games. You're in the second round. Grunwald he was never, I don't think he was ever officially announced as team president.
No.
But he's like shadow president. And this is his team. Yeah. And all of a sudden, because at that moment in time, if you remember, the Knicks got like 6 former general managers hovering around.
Yeah.
This one is associate this, that, counsel this, whatever. Advisors. They had like 6, 7 and known just in the building.
We had an advisor to Dolan that could override everybody. You remember that? We getting advice from everywhere, and this one guy was like, he didn't have the gavel, but he was in Dolan's ear, and I forget what.
Yeah, and then somehow Grunwald gets usurped, and here comes Bargnani.
Yep.
It's like in Knick history, it may be like this. I don't know if it's Eddie Curry or him. This is the worst trade in Knicks history.
Hey, I got a couple things I want to ask you before we get out of it, because chat, we have just a limited time. I want to ask AD a few questions, and I'm not for sure what's happening with the views or the likes. Everybody, I'm just going to ask y'all to kind of. So I've been having conversations with YouTube on fixing some stuff. So if you see a weird view count or a weird like count or whatever, man, just be patient with me as I work through it. Also, I found out today that we're not discoverable on the internet like we should be, because there's some misinformation out there. So if you're a fan of the channel, just bear with me as I correct some misinformation and some outdated information so that we can be more discoverable. I appreciate that. My question for AD is, question number 1 is, where is it, y'all? Where is it? Question number 1 for AD is, has the Rose-Tibbs experiment lived up to expectations?
Give it to me again.
Has the Leon Rose, Tom Thibodeau experiment lived up to your lofty expectations?
So far, absolutely.
Okay.
And it's not because of them being them necessarily, but any management that was going to come in, I expect for you to do the job. I expect for you to get us to where we want to be. But with them particularly, I mean, what are we talking about?
Right.
What are we talking about? We may have bones to pick with them, especially early. Fans could have bones to pick with Tibbs about his in-game this, minutes, that, or the third, but what are we talking about? Do you really want to go back to what it was? Like, he's already in 5 years or 4.5 years, he's the 4th winningest coach. I want you to think about that because I thought about this early this morning before the show. As far as my lifetime and winning coaches, there've only been 5 in my nickdom that with my memory that were winning coaches. 5. Let's think about that. There's a whole heap of trash. Good coaches, maybe, like when D'Antoni got here, the man's winning record was like 65, almost 70%.
Yep.
After he leaves here, he's like sub 500.
Yep.
Don Chaney's of the world. You know, I think Lenny Wilkins finishes with like a 500 record in like 2.5 years or something like that.
Yeah. And he was a great coach, by the way.
And he was a great all-time coach.
Yeah, great coach. Yeah.
So to say they have met expectations so far, absolutely. As a reminder, a very close friend of mine, how ungrateful are you? During a game, you're texting me what your displeasure is about Tom Thibodeau during the damn game.
And so I'll just say this, bro. The more I learn people and Knicks fans, the more I realize that our basketball IQ is high for a fan base, but when it comes to what actually happens on the floor, I think Knicks fans unfairly judge Tom Thibodeau. Now, with that said, am I a fan of Tom Thibodeau? Yes. Am I a fan the way that he does stuff right now, in this moment, right now? You know how you can like somebody but not like what they do? In this moment, I'm not a fan of what Tom Thibodeau is doing, right? But I have a question. I have another question for you, just really quick, right? How should Knicks fans embrace this place and time where the Knicks are as fans? How should we embrace it? Right? Is this the 99 Knicks? Is this the Y2K Knicks? Is this the Pat Ewing Knicks? Is this the 80s Knicks? Right? Is this the Melo Knicks? Is this the Brunson Knicks? 70s Knicks? How should Knicks fans embrace and feel about this moment that we're in? You mentioned grateful already, or ungrateful is what you mentioned.
I think this is the ingrate era. This is the team that I think I don't want to say overall fan base does not believe in it, but we've been, and I say we because we're a family. We're a Knick family, right? But we've been slick talking this team. I hear it. We're a lot of times when I hear Knicks fans talk about, they're already talking about next year.
Hey, he's calling y'all out. There are a bunch of y'all out there. What are we gonna do this offseason? Hey, we gonna sip champagne, bro. I mean, what?
Like, the nerve of you to feel like you can just be like, all right, this wasn't, we'll be back next year already. Blah, 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 blah. The management's going to do this. Management's going to do that. The nerve of you on the eve of the playoffs to buy into who could be here next year. You know the names. I'm not going to mention it. I've seen some of you on your podcast, on other podcasts, already like giving it up. I'm here to tell you, baby, there is no give up.
Okay. All right.
See what I'm saying? JB's going to be back. He's not going to beat JB off the top.
JB is coming through. Anybody Anybody ever heard that? Anybody, you ever heard of a group called the JBs? I'm just asking the chat, right? You ever heard of the group called the JBs? The JBs? The JBs? The
Yeah,
JBs? Anybody ever heard of that?
here we are in live and living color.
Right.
The JBs.
The JBs.
You know
Right.
what I'm saying? It's like, what are we talking about? When I've
I
heard
don't know who
some-
that is coming to the stage with all the furniture around here.
when I've heard these comments, Freezie, like, what are we doing?
What
Like,
are we doing?
you haven't tasted anything. This team hasn't won anything. We're not running around giving management, you know, the GM of the Year awards and what. We haven't won anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We've just had a better team than we've had. So to think that we can just be like, well, this team is not good enough and so forth, and they're not going to beat those guys because they haven't beaten them in the regular season. I want to remind you guys, we owned Atlanta a few years ago. How did that turn out?
I was there. Me and Jay Boogie. Now that you mentioned that,
We owned Miami a couple of years ago. How did that turn out?
How did that turn out? So what happens when the shoe was on the other foot? What happens when the shoe was on the foot, Anthony D? I'm asking you, what happens if the shoe was on the other foot? What happens when the rabbit gets the gun?
You get shot.
Boom. Okay, pretty much. Oh, I'm sorry, YouTube. What happens when the rabbit gets the pew pew? I'm sorry, I forgot YouTube algorithm. What happens when the rabbit gets the pew pew? I'm sorry, YouTube, don't shut us down.
You get that Pepe Le Pew moment.
Right.
You get to have your Donald Duck beat flipped around the other way. That's what you get. That's what you get. You see what I'm saying? But you know, just this slick talk that I've heard from fans. I'm like, yo, let me just ask y'all one question. Who you with?
Who you with?
And let's leave it there.
All right. So I got one other thing I want to ask, and it's a very important question. It won't take long, right? Are there any jobs on the line? Players, coaches, executives, whatever. Any jobs on the line this year?
I think if something unforeseeable was to happen, like a first round elimination, fairly or unfairly, you would have to question the leadership going forward. If you were to somehow, you know, like I said, JB's coming back, you know, Mitch is rounding into form, but in truth, has this team been together in totality for the whole year? They haven't. They knew this. Right. Did they address certain shortcomings that I would have liked at the trading deadline? No, they didn't.
But the thing is, okay. So AD, let me just say this real quick. I'm going to interject because I think that's one of the smartest things I probably heard somebody from the Knicks say, and somebody in Knicks universe say probably in about 3 months. Did the Knicks address issues at the trade deadline? Right. Here's the thing about address. You can address something and not execute your plan. Right. Like you can know what your weakness is, but not be able to get the thing that cures what ails you, so to speak. Right. So the Knicks, if the fans know, if the media knows, I can guarantee you the Knicks know. Right. But getting the thing that fixes what ails you requires two to tango. Right. So did the Knicks address these things? I'm going to lean on the side of probably. Did they execute these things? I'm going to leave that open-ended because maybe the Knicks didn't have what it took to pay or didn't want to part with what it took to pay for that thing that fixes it. Now, in the short run, it may look like the Knicks are what's the blind guy, the blind detective, Mr. Magoo. It may look like the Knicks were Mr. Magoo in this issue, right? But I would say maybe they knew what it is, and maybe they were just disciplined. Like, no, we're not gonna trade Josh Hart for Jaren Jackson. Right? That's an example. I'm not saying that Memphis would agree to that. I'm saying that's an example. Like, nah, they prefer to have Josh Hart because of his um chemistral impact with Jalen Brunson and others, as opposed to bringing in another new piece. And now you have to incorporate Bridges, who's new, Cat, who's new, Delon Wright, who's new, and these rookies, and Mitch is coming back from injury. Precious had only played 20 games up to that point, and Landry Shamet missed 32 games, and you're trying to incorporate him, and then you take a steady piece out of the rotation and bring in another piece, and now your season is just trying to figure out how all these new pieces are going to play together. Now your season is lost.
Okay, Freezie, I'm with you with that, and it's more than fair. Okay, but when you are talking about the totality of the job,
Right.
you you only get details and nuances and excuses, but for so long.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? It's like at some point in time, you have to pull that significant trigger.
Yeah.
Like if I want to play that game, I'll go back to last year.
Are we playing your game?
Yeah.
Your game.
You know what I mean? If I want to play
Playing
that
your
game,
game, baby.
you see what I'm saying? If I want to do that, then I'm going to look at what Dallas did at the trading deadline.
Right. Look at how Dallas looks right now, though.
No, but I'm just saying last year, but that those moves propelled them to a finals appearance.
Oh, you mean last year's trade? Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. You see what I'm saying? Or
Right.
if I want to be that petty game, because that will be in the totality of how you grade management overall.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Should things not go the way I anticipate, and so many Knicks fans anticipate, up to this moment, am I making the cat for Julius? Again, what are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
You want to quiver about the Bridges? It's about what did you expect? What was going to be regular season home run for you after giving up 5 picks and 2 players? Notice I said regular season.
Yeah, and we're listening. We hear. We like.
We don't know what this is about to be with this dude in come playoffs.
Okay.
Our tunes will turn like that.
Right.
Because a whole nother season's about to start.
Right. Yeah. So let me do this. So AD started our show with what's on your mind. I'm gonna end here real quick on just have a thought. So let me do this. So for everyone watching, I want to say thank you. I created this channel, and the official date is 2016. I didn't do anything with it. I created it just so that I can watch other content creators. Right. In 2020, I ventured out to create Lawrence Tears so that Knicks fans can have a place to come and talk and listen and share and vent. And over the years, we've been through our ups and downs. We went through a rapid growth spurt, and then we stagnated for a long time for a multitude of reasons. A lot of it has to do with me doing things incorrectly, like having no filter on the channel, which kind of blocked us a little bit from getting in front of mainstream audiences. So after being hard-headed for a long time, I decided to kind of correct certain things so that we can get back in front of a lot of people. And in the short time that we've done that, we've seen another spike in rapid growth and things of that sort. Just want to say, man, I'm really appreciative to YouTube for explaining a bunch of stuff to me. From that end, YouTube is our partner, and just want to say thank you to them. But I also, more importantly than anything, is want to thank the contributors to the channel, right, for giving us the best version and the most honest version of themselves every time they show up here to share content with y'all, right? So I want to say thank you to the entire Lawrence Tears family, because Lawrence Tears isn't just me. It's a whole family behind this thing that helps with the content, right? And help us be consistent in the content that we put forward. And want to let you know our goal going forward is to be better and better and better. So our goal is to be comparable to entities such as the Ringer on the high end, and be the best Knicks content, the best Knicks YouTube content creation piece on YouTube. So just want to say thank you to everybody that rocks with us when we're consistent and inconsistent in terms of when we jump on. Want to say thank you for hitting that like button. Every time y'all hit the like button, man, it's like you're high-fiving yourselves, because we do this thing for y'all. For all the people that are new here, right? You're going to see a lot of new faces. It's going to look like every time you click the thing, somebody else is here. And that's how we rock. We have a Lawrence Tears family of a lot of people that come on and rock. And what I'm going to say is show them the same love that they show you. They put a lot of effort and time into producing a dope product, and big up yourself. During this time of Lawrence Tears, man, made a lot of great friends, lost some friends. Rest in peace, Staffadan, right? Some others, man, had some friendships, had some breakups over the years. We're still here. Our thing is we love the Knicks, and we want to share our experiences with you, and want you to share your experiences with us, because we know being a fan of a sports entity can be tough. And we're here to ease that load, whether it's by talking through certain things, or just venting, sharing information, things of that sort. What we ask you to do is to subscribe, hit the like button, share, comment, come back, right? Be in the chat with our longtime folks. There are longtime Lawrence Tears family members in the chat. Chop it up with them. If you don't know what it is, feel free to ask them questions. Like, why does Uncle Freezie wear hats all the time? Right? Whatever it is. Whatever question you got. Why does Uncle Freezie always have a hat on? Whatever. It's just one of those things. How long has Uncle Freezie been a fan of the Knicks? Right? Who is AD? Where's AD from? Why is AD so hardcore about the Knicks? Ask any question that you have, contribute, right? We're here for that. This is a safe space, right? This is a safe space for Knicks fans to come in and for one, voice their opinion and talk that talk the way that we like to have that talk to us. Now, for our guys that have been here for a long time, guys and gals that have been here for a long time, we're about to grow. Buckle up. We're about to go on this ride where I don't know where it'll take us, right? And AD has the rest of that he'll share with y'all. But I don't know where this ride is going to take us, right? But we do know that we have all the ingredients to be a dope YouTube channel. And we're going to put forth our best effort to be a dope YouTube channel, right? And I ask this other thing of y'all. Stay tuned. Enjoy yourself. On that note, AD, you wanna get us out of here, AD?
Yes. We don't know where this journey started. I'm so sorry. We don't know where this journey started, but we know where it ended. Once again, with the Lawrence Tears family Look for me, Uncle Freezie in the whirlwind, Garvey.
Yeah. Look out your window. Knicks fans is on your block. Y'all know the Knicks run the city. Pull them shades back. Look out your window. Look down there on the block. That's Knicks fans right there. It's about that time. It's about that time of the week where you get ready for your work week with the man that is so smooth he does not require a chaser. Your main man, the real, still the real Anthony D, and your main man, Jersey's